Hey everyone, I'm Pamela, your host. Today's topic is how to make any woman want you, even when she's not interested, and the female psychology behind attraction. Here's something most men will never admit aloud. Women are drawn to men who aren't trying to be liked. I know that sounds counterintuitive, especially if you've ever liked a woman and felt like no matter how much you chased, she barely noticed. But attraction doesn't work the way most men think. It's not about being nice, it's not about being constantly available, and it certainly isn't about trying too hard. Women are wired to notice value, confidence, and independence, and they feel it even when they don't say it. Think about it. Why does the guy who barely responds, who keeps his life separate and doesn't seek approval, suddenly capture her attention? It's because he's operating on a different level. He doesn't chase validation. He radiates self-worth. And when a woman senses that a man isn't dependent on her attention, it sparks curiosity, desire, and sometimes even obsession. Now, I'm not talking about manipulation, playing games, or pretending to be someone you're not. I'm talking about understanding female psychology, the subtle ways women notice confidence, emotional independence, and the kind of magnetic presence that makes them genuinely intrigued. Women are naturally drawn to men who live full lives, have purpose, and aren't desperate for their approval. This video is going to break down exactly how you can create that kind of attraction, even if she's not initially interested. We'll talk about the mindset, the behaviors, and the subtle strategies that naturally pull a woman in without you ever begging for attention. By understanding how female attraction works, you'll see why some men can effortlessly captivate women, while others, despite their effort, get overlooked. So, welcome to the channel. Make yourself comfortable, because today we're going to dig into the real psychology behind attraction. By the end of this video, you'll understand why women sometimes ignore men who chase and why they can't resist the ones who don't, and how you can use that knowledge to naturally become the kind of man any woman wants. 1. Stop chasing. Start being. Most men make the same mistake. They think attraction comes from chasing. They believe the more attention they give a woman, the more she'll like them. But here's the truth. Chasing usually does the opposite. Women are naturally drawn to men who live their lives fully and aren't constantly seeking approval. It's not about ignoring her. It's about showing her that your life doesn't revolve around her. Imagine a man who's constantly texting, checking if she's free, or changing his plans to fit hers. At first, it might seem like he's invested, but what she senses underneath is dependence. She notices that he needs her validation, that his happiness is tied to her responses. That doesn't make him attractive. It makes him predictable and easy to get. And when something is too easy, it loses value in her eyes. Now picture a man who focuses on his work, his hobbies, his friendships, and his goals. He's engaging when he's interested, communicates naturally, and doesn't drop everything just to be available. That woman starts noticing him. She feels curious. She wonders why he's not chasing. That curiosity builds desire without him ever trying to force it. Being a man who is, rather than one who chases, changes the dynamic completely. You're no longer someone she can control with attention. You're a man of value who sets his own terms. She begins to engage because she's intrigued by your independence and confident presence. This doesn't mean you stop showing interest. It means you do it from a position of strength. You give attention selectively, speak with intention, and invest emotionally only when it feels right. When you focus on being the man you want to be rather than bending over backward to get approval, you naturally trigger attraction. Chasing makes a man disposable. Being yourself, living your life fully, and showing confidence makes you magnetic. Women aren't drawn to what they can control. They're drawn to what they want, but can't fully have. Stop chasing, start being. That simple shift is the foundation of making any woman want you, even the ones who initially seem uninterested. 2. Scarcity creates desire. One of the most powerful principles in attraction is scarcity. Women are naturally drawn to men who aren't always available, men who have their own lives, and men who don't give themselves away too easily. Scarcity doesn't mean being cold or unkind. It means having boundaries and a life that doesn't revolve around her. When a man is too accessible, always ready to respond, or constantly trying to impress, he becomes predictable and loses his allure. There's no tension, no curiosity, no challenge. Desire is often born from a sense of the unknown, from the subtle awareness that something valuable isn't fully obtainable. Scarcity triggers that awareness. Scarcity also works on a psychological level. When a man has limits, whether in time, attention, or emotional investment, it creates a natural pull. Women start noticing his presence more. They pay attention to his actions, they value his time, and they begin to invest emotionally in a way they wouldn't if everything was given freely. It's not about playing manipulative games, it's about understanding the dynamics of attraction. By being scarce, you signal that your life has value beyond her approval. You're a man with interests, ambitions, and standards. She senses that you're not desperate for validation, and that's incredibly appealing. Another key aspect is balance. Scarcity should feel natural, not forced. You don't have to ignore her or withdraw completely. It's about having a rhythm in communication, being engaged when it counts, and preserving your attention for moments that matter. When she notices that your energy and time are finite, she subconsciously begins to chase it. This principle also applies in social settings. A man who doesn't hover or overinvest in a woman immediately stands out. He's noticed because his presence feels rare, deliberate, and valuable. Scarcity builds intrigue, and intrigue sparks desire. Ultimately, women are wired to pursue value. When a man isn't constantly available, she feels challenged, curious, and drawn to him. Scarcity isn't about being unavailable. It's about creating natural limits that highlight your worth. Master this principle, and even women who seem uninterested will start paying attention and investing emotionally without you ever forcing it. 3. Confidence beats compliments. Here's a truth most men struggle to understand. Giving compliments won't make a woman want you. In fact, overdoing it can have the opposite effect. Women aren't attracted to words, they're attracted to presence, energy, and confidence. Confidence speaks louder than anything you say. Compliments are nice, but they're easy to give. They don't demonstrate value or independence. A man who constantly praises a woman might be seen as eager or dependent, which reduces attraction. On the other hand, a confident man doesn't need to constantly validate a woman with words because his self-assured energy communicates his worth effortlessly. Confidence shows up in many ways. It's in the way you carry yourself, how you handle conversations, and how you interact with others. A confident man speaks with purpose, maintains eye contact, and doesn't over-explain himself. He sets boundaries naturally and doesn't bend over backward to win approval. That energy is magnetic because it signals security and stability, qualities women are instinctively drawn to. Another crucial point is emotional control. Confidence isn't arrogance or bravado. It's the ability to manage your emotions and reactions. A confident man doesn't panic when a woman takes time to respond, and he doesn't overreact to rejection. He stays grounded, calm, and composed. Women notice this stability even if they don't consciously realize it, and it makes him irresistible. Confidence also allows you to lead interactions subtly. Instead of constantly following her cues, you take initiative in conversation, decide the pace of engagement, and create moments that feel exciting and intentional. That kind of presence naturally draws women in. Remember, confidence isn't about pretending to be someone you're not, it's about owning who you are. When you focus on your life, goals, and self-worth, it naturally radiates outward. Women sense this energy, and it makes them curious, engaged, and attracted. So, if you want a woman to want you, start by building real confidence. Focus less on compliments and more on presence, emotional stability, and self-assurance. When your energy communicates value, she won't need to be told, it will be felt. That's how attraction becomes effortless. 4. The power of emotional pull attraction isn't just about looks, confidence, or availability. It's about emotional engagement. Women are drawn to men who can create an emotional pull, a sense of connection that makes them feel alive, curious, and invested. This doesn't mean being overly sentimental or vulnerable right away. It's about creating a magnetic energy that draws her in naturally. Emotional pull starts with presence. When you're genuinely engaged in a conversation or interaction, you create a feeling of significance. Women notice when a man listens, responds thoughtfully, and communicates with intention. That presence, combined with your independent energy, makes her feel seen and intrigued without you ever over-explaining yourself. Another element of emotional pull is tension. Tension isn't about conflict, It's about subtle contrast and mystery. When a man has his own opinions, boundaries, and life, he naturally creates moments where she wants to know more, wants to connect more, and wants to earn his attention. That push and pull dynamic is what triggers deeper attraction. Women enjoy the thrill of chasing and discovering a man who isn't fully predictable or available. Emotional pull also comes from energy, not just words. Your tone, body language, and confidence can make a woman feel excited, curious, or even slightly challenged. A man who conveys passion for his life, curiosity about the world, and a grounded sense of self naturally draws women closer because they sense substance and intensity. It's also about creating memorable interactions. A man who makes her feel something, whether it's intrigue, amusement, or admiration, stands out from the crowd. Emotional impact lingers far longer than compliments, gifts, or superficial attention. Women remember how a man makes them feel, and that memory strengthens attraction over time. Finally, emotional pull grows when you're selective with your energy. When you don't give everything away at once, and instead engage meaningfully at the right moments, she begins to value your presence more. This creates desire organically because she's investing emotionally to connect with you. Understanding and leveraging emotional pull is key to making any woman want you. It's not manipulation. It's about being present, confident, and intriguing while also managing your energy and attention. When done right, emotional pull makes her curious, engaged, and invested, even if she wasn't initially interested. 5. Be unavailable, not distant. Here's a common mistake men make. They think being available all the time will make a woman want them. The truth is the opposite. Over-availability kills attraction, but complete distance can also backfire. The key is to strike a balance. Be unavailable in a way that signals value, but remain present enough to create connection. Imagine a man who's constantly at her beck and call, responding immediately, always agreeing to plans, and putting her above his own life. At first, she might enjoy the attention, but over time, she senses he has no boundaries. That over-availability signals low value and dependence, which reduces desire. Now, consider a man who has a busy life, hobbies, and goals, but still communicates and engages when it's meaningful. He's not constantly responding or rearranging his schedule, but he's there in a way that feels intentional. She notices that he has a life outside of her, and that's magnetic. She starts to chase a little, invests emotionally, and appreciates the moments she gets with him more. Being unavailable doesn't mean ignoring her or acting cold. It means valuing your time and energy. By doing so, you create natural tension and curiosity. Women notice when a man doesn't need them to validate his worth, and that sparks attraction. It's about showing that your attention is not free. It has value. A subtle situation that illustrates this. A man receives a text from a woman late at night. Instead of replying instantly, he takes time to respond, crafting a message that shows his personality and wit. She notices he didn't drop everything to answer immediately, and it makes the interaction feel more meaningful. That small shift from being too available to selectively present creates desire. The balance between availability and unavailability is powerful. It allows you to maintain connection without lowering your value. Women are naturally drawn to men who have their own lives, who respect themselves, and who engage intentionally. By being unavailable, not distant, you create attraction without trying hard. Remember, it's not about ignoring her. It's about managing your energy and presence. When you get this right, even a woman who seemed uninterested will notice, invest emotionally, and start wanting you in ways that feel natural and effortless. 6. Mystery triggers. Curiosity. One of the most powerful tools in female psychology is mystery. Women are naturally drawn to men who aren't fully predictable, who don't reveal everything at once, and who have a sense of depth. Mystery creates curiosity, and curiosity fuels attraction. A man who shares every detail about his life immediately, over-explains himself, or lays out all his feelings up front removes the intrigue. Women stop wondering, stop guessing, and lose the mental engagement that drives desire. On the other hand, a man who keeps parts of his life private, shares selectively, and maintains an air of independence naturally draws her in. She wants to know more, to connect, to earn his attention. Mystery also applies to your emotional presence. You don't have to overreact, share every thought, or display constant enthusiasm. A man who maintains composure, surprises her occasionally, or expresses himself thoughtfully keeps her engaged. She begins to notice the contrast between her expectations and the reality of his calm, confident, and slightly unpredictable demeanor. That contrast creates a magnetic pull. Another layer of mystery comes from your lifestyle. Pursue passions, hobbies, and friendships that aren't tied to her. Live a life that's full and interesting. When she sees that your world is bigger than her, she senses value. A man who is fully immersed in his own life communicates independence, confidence, and high standards, all of which are highly attractive. Even subtle things count. Not responding instantly, leaving space in conversations, or teasing lightly without being mean creates tension that sparks curiosity. Mystery isn't manipulation. It's about maintaining individuality while giving her just enough to stay engaged. She wants to uncover more because she senses there's depth she hasn't yet accessed. Ultimately, mystery makes women invest mentally and emotionally. They chase a man not because he plays games, but because they're drawn to the parts of him they don't fully understand. By cultivating mystery, you create natural attraction. Even in women who weren't initially interested, she becomes curious, intrigued, and subtly pulled toward you without you ever forcing it. Here's a truth that many men resist. You don't make a woman want you by trying harder. She wants you when you live fully, hold your own standards, and radiate confidence. Chasing, over-pleasing, or seeking constant validation only diminishes your appeal. Women are drawn to men who have value independently of them, who are mysterious, confident, and emotionally stable. That's what makes attraction effortless. By now, you understand the key principles. Stop chasing and start being. Create scarcity without being distant. Cultivate confidence over compliments. Leverage emotional pull. Embrace mystery and focus on attracting rather than pleasing. When you integrate these behaviors into your life, women notice, invest, and even the ones who seemed uninterested begin to respond naturally. Here's something to think about. The harder you try to get her attention, the less she will value it. Desire thrives on independence, curiosity, and subtle tension. Your energy, presence, and standards are what create true attraction, not words, not gifts, and not endless attention. I want to hear from you. Share your experiences in the comments. Times when stepping back, holding your boundaries, or focusing on your own life shifted a woman's interest. I read every comment and engage personally because learning from real-life situations is the fastest way to get this right. Remember this: stop bending over backward, start valuing yourself, and watch how attraction transforms. Women want men who are magnetic, confident, and in control of their lives. Master this, and desire flows naturally, even from the women who once seemed uninterested.